Jonathan Roumie may be nearing the end of his journey as Jesus, and The Chosen might never be the same again. The crucifixion is coming, and it's not just the most intense moment in the story of Christ. It might be the moment that breaks, the man who's brought him to life for millions of fans. After years of pouring his heart, soul, and health into this role, Jonathan is reaching a crossroads. And now, with new projects, growing pressure, and a haunting emotional toll behind the scenes, fans are asking the question no one ever wanted to face. Is Jonathan Roumie leaving the Chosen universe for good? For Jonathan Roumie, portraying Jesus in The Chosen wasn't just another acting job. It was personal, it was sacred, and it came with a weight that most actors will never understand. When The Chosen first launched, no one could have predicted just how deeply this show would impact the world, or how far Jonathan would go to make his performance feel real. In the early seasons, the role was challenging, yes, but it was manageable. The tone was lighter. There were moments of joy, laughter, even humor. The miracles of Jesus and his early ministry allowed Jonathan to play a more hopeful, compassionate, and even playful version of the Messiah. But as the seasons went on and the story turned toward Jesus' suffering, the emotional burden grew heavier, and it started taking a toll on the actor's heart, mind, and health. Jonathan has never hidden how difficult this role is for him. In multiple interviews, he's admitted to struggling with anxiety, depression, and even physical symptoms like heart palpitations during filming. The scenes aren't just acting exercises. They're moments where he feels he's standing in the middle of sacred ground, especially when portraying betrayal, loss, and divine sorrow. One moment in particular pushed him close to the edge, the Garden of Gethsemane, where Judas betrays Jesus. That wasn't just a scene, it was an emotional collapse. Jonathan later admitted that he couldn't even speak to anyone on set afterward. He shut down. He felt empathy, not just as an actor, but as a human being. For Judas, for Jesus, for the pain of it all. He turned to prayer. He sat alone, and he asked for more strength than he felt he had. That was Season 5. But what happens in Season 6 may be far more overwhelming. Dallas Jenkins has already confirmed that the entire 6th season will center around one day, the crucifixion of Christ. 8 full hours of suffering, sacrifice, and death, filmed over weeks, repeating the agony day after day. The logistics of that alone are intense. But for Jonathan, it's not just physical. It's spiritual and emotional. How can any man endure that? How do you play Jesus on the cross for weeks on end, knowing millions of people are watching and expecting something holy, while you're battling your own personal darkness behind the scenes? This is where the rumors begin. Some fans believe Jonathan won't continue after Season 6. Others are wondering if he'll even be able to finish it. Not because he doesn't love the role, but because it may simply become too much. He's already 50 years old, an age that surprises many fans who assumed he was younger. And filming those brutal crucifixion scenes won't just age the character, it could exhaust the actor. Some insiders believe that Season 6 may be Jonathan's farewell to the role of Jesus in live action, and that the Chosen universe, while still expanding, may have to find a way to move forward without him front and center. But is that really true? Is he really walking away? The truth is more complicated and much more revealing. What most fans don't see is what happens behind the scenes, the moments after the cameras stop rolling. When Jonathan Roumie isn't surrounded by cast and crew, but sits alone, processing what he just relived. Playing Jesus might be the most honored role in the world, but it's also one of the most isolating, especially when you're expected to embody divine love and sorrow with every glance, every tear, every word. In Season 4, we saw the shift. The scenes grew heavier, the miracles slowed, the tension built, and Jonathan, though always professional, began showing signs of deep emotional fatigue. Dallas Jenkins, who has worked with him closely from the start, has often said that the weight of this role isn't just on the screen, it's in Jonathan's soul. And now, with Season 5 pushing him into the betrayal, the blood, and the loneliness of Christ's final hours, that weight may finally be too much. He's been open about it too. In recent months, Jonathan has admitted to experiencing severe heart palpitations, anxiety spirals, and even depressive episodes tied directly to the emotional demands of the show. These aren't just passing feelings. They're physical, spiritual, and deeply rooted in the responsibility he feels to portray Jesus with truth and reverence. When the Lazarus episode was filmed and Jesus wept in front of Mary and Martha, Jonathan later said he wasn't sure if the tears were from him or from Christ working through him. That's the level of emotional immersion he brings, and it's starting to cost him. People close to the production say he often needs long moments of solitude during shooting. He withdraws, he prays, he fasts, he asks for strength from God, not just to act, but to survive the process. So, what happens when that process includes crucifixion? When your body is stretched and bloodied for hours in a harness, under lights, while you have to maintain the illusion of peace and pain at once? Dallas Jenkins said Season 6 will unfold over one day, the darkest day in human history. That means Jonathan will be portraying Christ's final breaths for nearly every episode. Every moment will be sorrow, agony, and sacrifice. And as powerful as that will be for the audience, it's terrifying to imagine the toll it might take on the man behind the role. No amount of rehearsal or preparation can make that easy. Jonathan will have to live in that suffering again and again for weeks. And unlike the earlier seasons, there won't be breaks for humor or lighthearted scenes or quiet miracles. It's all pain, all the time. That's why some believe this is his final chapter. And not just because of exhaustion, Jonathan is also being pulled in other directions. His work in East Africa, his narrating of faith-based films, and his growing desire to inspire others outside of just playing Jesus. He recently said that the project he's working on overseas is very close to my heart, and he hinted that it's part of his calling. He didn't say he was leaving The Chosen, but he also didn't say he was staying. That silence says more than words ever could. Add to that the launch of The Chosen Adventures, the animated spin-off where Jonathan voices Jesus, offering a less demanding way to continue without the emotional strain of live filming, and suddenly a pattern emerges. He may be transitioning, preparing himself, and us, for life beyond the crucifixion. Dallas Jenkins knows the weight Jonathan carries. He's seen it firsthand. And lately, Dallas hasn't been shy about hinting at the future. In interviews, live streams, and behind-the-scenes clips, he's started to speak more openly about what's coming after Season 6. And while he hasn't confirmed anything about Jonathan's departure, he's said enough to make fans uneasy. One moment in particular sent a ripple of panic through the Chosen community. Dallas was asked if Jonathan Roumie would be part of the next phase of the Chosen universe, projects like The Way of the Chosen, or the upcoming film, Joseph, the Book of Moses. Instead of giving a clear answer, Dallas paused, and then said, "There have always been flashbacks, and there have always been ways to revisit the past." It wasn't a yes. It was a quiet, careful maybe, one that suggested that even if Jonathan does return, it might only be in glimpses, and that makes sense, in a haunting way. Because The Chosen has always been about more than just Jesus. As the story of the crucifixion draws to a close, the spotlight naturally shifts to the apostles, their fears, their failures, their victories. Season 7 is expected to focus entirely on the resurrection and ascension, and then the aftermath. That means less screen time for Jesus and more for the disciples, more for Peter, Mary Magdalene, John, and the others as they struggle to lead a broken world. Jonathan's role will shrink, and Dallas has implied that they've already filmed most of what they need from him. So even if he's still part of the universe in spirit, the man we've come to know as Jesus might be stepping out of the light. Dallas has also revealed that new projects are already in development. One of them, The Way of the Chosen, will follow the apostles in the years after Jesus' death. It's a bold, raw story of persecution, leadership, and unwavering faith. But noticeably absent from the announcements, any confirmation that Jonathan will reprise his role. And with production timelines stretching out years into the future, it raises a simple question. Will Jonathan even want to return by then? He'll be older. He'll have moved on to other passions. And after pouring everything into The Chosen for nearly a decade, he may be ready to close this chapter on his own terms. Dallas is loyal. He's not the type to recast lightly. If Jonathan steps away, it won't be because the team wanted a replacement. It'll be because the man himself needs to breathe again, to be more than just a symbol on screen. And if that happens, it won't be a scandal. It'll be a sacrifice. The same kind Jonathan has made over and over for the sake of telling this story with truth and heart. But let's not forget, when Dallas was asked directly if Jonathan was leaving for good, he smiled and said, We'll see what God has planned. That might sound like a deflection, but maybe, just maybe, it's the most honest answer of all. Because when a show this powerful collides with a man this devoted, nothing is ever final, not even goodbye. What most people don't see is the emotional cost of becoming Jesus. For Jonathan Roumie, it's not just about acting, it's about surrendering, about carrying the weight of people's expectations, their hopes, their pain. And in recent months, that weight has started to show. He's been open about the physical and emotional toll filming has taken, sharing how certain scenes have left him completely drained. During the betrayal scene in Season 5, Jonathan admitted he couldn't speak to anyone on set afterward. He felt consumed by sorrow, paralyzed by the burden of empathy. And that was just one moment. Imagine what the crucifixion will do to him. He's already called it the most daunting challenge of his career, not because of the technical demands, but because of the spiritual magnitude. Because he knows he's not just playing Jesus, he's holding people's hearts in his hands. And as filming for Season 6 approaches, those fears are becoming real. Jonathan knows that portraying Jesus on the cross for hours, days even, will change him. Dallas has said the entire season will focus on one day, the crucifixion. And it's not hard to imagine how intense that process will be. Long days on set, endless emotional breakdowns, tears that don't stop when the cameras do. Jonathan has admitted he spends hours in prayer before and after filming these scenes. He sits in front of the Blessed Sacrament, asking God for strength, peace, and clarity. But even the strongest faith can tremble under pressure. And Jonathan, for all his devotion, is still human. His anxiety has grown. His heart palpitations have returned. He's talked about nights where he can't sleep, days where he questions if he can do this again. He's not complaining. He's not backing out. But it's clear he's reaching a breaking point. And Dallas knows it. That's why the team is being so careful, so quiet about the future. No one wants to pressure Jonathan into doing more than he can. The fans love him, the crew respects him, but everyone can feel it. The end of something sacred is drawing near. Jonathan once said, "This role changed my life, but it's not my identity. Jesus is." That simple line speaks volumes, because it means he understands the difference between playing the role of the Savior and following him. And maybe, just maybe, Jonathan's next chapter doesn't involve a film set at all. Maybe it's about rest, healing, stepping away from the spotlight and letting the story live on without him. There's a kind of heartbreak in that, but there's also something beautiful. Because Jonathan never tried to become Jesus. He tried to serve him. And now, after years of carrying this cross, maybe he's ready to lay it down. As we look toward the final seasons of The Chosen, one question weighs heavier than all the rest. Is Jonathan Roumie preparing to say goodbye, not just to the role of Jesus, but to the chosen universe entirely? The truth is, no one can play this character forever. Not physically, not emotionally, not spiritually. And Jonathan has been slowly, quietly preparing us for that reality. He's been careful with his words in interviews, honest but protective. He doesn't want to scare fans or stir rumors, but you can hear it in his voice. The fatigue, the reverence, the ache. He knows that what's coming in Season 6, the agony, the crucifixion, the final moments of Christ's earthly life, is not just the climax of the show. It might also be the closing chapter of his time as Jesus. But does that mean he's leaving the chosen universe for good? Not necessarily. In fact, Dallas Jenkins has made it clear that the story will expand long after the crucifixion. Spin-offs, like The Way of the Chosen, focused on the apostles after Jesus' death, and Joseph, the Book of Moses, a new biblical cinematic project, are already in development under 5 and 2 studios. And Jonathan is expected to appear in at least some of them. Flashbacks, visions, glimpses of Jesus in the hearts and memories of the characters he changed. That's the beauty of this universe. It allows Jesus to remain, even when he's no longer walking among them. And while we might not see Jonathan carrying the full weight of an 8-episode season again, we will likely see him return in smaller but deeply meaningful moments. Still, Jonathan's future is uncertain by design. He's never been in this for the fame or the spotlight. He's always seen it as a mission, not a career move, and that mission has already stretched him beyond what most actors ever experience. He doesn't just act the part, he lives it. He prays before every scene, he fasts, he reflects. He sometimes breaks down emotionally and needs days to recover. That level of spiritual and emotional intensity isn't sustainable forever. And after the Crucifixion is filmed and released, after the tears and heartbreak of season 6, Jonathan might feel it's time to step away, not because he's giving up, but because his work is done. Because he helped bring Jesus' humanity to life in a way few ever have. And now it may be time to let the next chapter unfold without him. Yet, even in stepping away, Jonathan's presence will never truly leave. His voice will echo through The Chosen Adventures, the animated spin-off where he continues to voice Jesus. Fans will still feel his spirit in every scene he's filmed. New actors may eventually take on the role in other projects, but Jonathan's portrayal will remain the standard, etched into the hearts of millions. And in the broader, faith-based entertainment world, Jonathan's impact has only begun. He's already executive-produced powerful Catholic documentaries and continues to take on projects that align with his values. He's building a legacy, rooted in service, not celebrity. That's why fans love him, because he's real. Because when he says he's struggling with depression, with anxiety, with the sheer emotional weight of playing the Son of God, he says it not for attention, but for connection. He lets people see that even someone who plays Jesus can be broken sometimes. And that vulnerability, that honesty, has made his portrayal more powerful than any special effect or camera trick ever could. So, will Jonathan Roumie leave the chosen universe for good? Maybe not today, maybe not even after season 6, but eventually, yes. Because this story was never meant to stay in one place. And neither was he. But even when he steps away from the role, his work will live on. His portrayal will continue to inspire faith, spark healing, and bring people closer to the story of Jesus Christ. And for those who have followed his journey from the very beginning, from that first quiet episode to the roaring anticipation of the crucifixion, it will never be goodbye. It will simply be, thank you, Jonathan, for carrying the burden, for showing us the humanity of Christ, and for reminding us that even our heroes sometimes need to rest. The journey of Jonathan Roumie as Jesus in The Chosen has been nothing short of remarkable, but as the series moves into its most intense chapter yet, questions about his future in the role grow louder than ever. Season 6 promises to be an emotional and grueling portrayal of the crucifixion, an event so central and profound that it could redefine the entire landscape of the chosen universe. Jonathan himself has opened up about the overwhelming weight of these scenes, the toll on his mental and emotional well-being, and the deep empathy he feels not just for Jesus, but for every character whose story intertwines with this sacred moment. It's clear this season will push him to limits never before seen on set, testing his spirit in ways only a few actors can understand. Yet, despite these challenges, Jonathan's connection to this role runs far deeper than mere performance. It's a calling, a mission, and a ministry that has touched millions around the world. As fans, we must ask ourselves, what happens if he decides to step away? How will The Chosen continue to tell this life-changing story without the man, who has made Jesus so real and accessible to so many? The producers have hinted that flashbacks, cameos, and spin-offs will keep the world alive, but a new actor stepping into the shoes of Jesus would mark a profound shift. Still, it may be inevitable as time passes and the story expands. For now, Jonathan Roumie remains committed, even as he navigates the immense emotional and physical demands of Season 6. His journey is a testament to faith, resilience, and the power of storytelling that transcends the screen. As we await the season's release, the question lingers. Will this be the last time we see Jonathan Roumie as Jesus? Only time will tell, but one thing is certain: his legacy in The Chosen universe is unforgettable and will inspire believers and seekers for generations to come.